recapping this hour's breaking news, Secretary of State John Kerry told us that the U.S. now has blood and hair samples indicating the Syrian regime used sarin in the August 21st chemical attack that killed some 1,400 people. A short time ago, I spoke with the Republican chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, Congressman Mike Rogers. Chairman Rogers, thanks so much for being with us this morning. You heard Secretary Kerry. He clearly seems to believe that Congress is going to support him in this vote. Do you share his optimism on that?
Well, I think there's some real challenges. I think at the end of the day, Congress will rise to the occasion. This is a national security issue. This isn't about, Barack Obama versus the Congress. This isn't about Republicans versus Democrats. This has a very important worldwide reach in this decision. And I think when members of Congress get the information about the sarin gas attack, and by the way, this is multiple attacks by now, and you look at the impact in the greater region of the Middle East and the fact that Iran, North Korea, other adversaries of the United States are looking at this decision, I think that Congress will rise to its Article 1 constitutional responsibilities to provide for the general defense of the United States. But it's going to take that healthy debate to get there.
Now, you've seen the intelligence that no one else has seen, given the fact that you're chairman of the committee. Do you consider this a slam dunk, as John Kerry seems to?
Oh, I think the evidence is convincing and getting better, candidly, now that the forensics have come in, the actual physical evidence, the physical samples determining that sarin gas was used. It is hard to walk away from the information that is on the table and not come to the conclusion that the Assad regime has used chemical weapons. By the way, again, the British think 14 times. I think U.S. intelligence services believe a few less times than that, I think 9. So there is a clear pattern here of chemical weapons use on behalf of the regime. This one was the largest, the most lethal, the most deadly, and certainly the most public. And I think that's what has caused, I think, the world to react in a way that says, hey, you've got to do something. You cannot allow a rogue nation that finds itself right now that is in the possession of a huge amount of chemical weapons use them with impunity. That's dangerous for certainly the Middle East, the Levant, and I argue the rest of the world.
But are your colleagues more concerned about the intelligence, or in talking to them this week, they seem to believe that that Assad used chemical weapons, but aren't they more concerned about the mission itself and whether the mission would result in a quagmire or whether it would deter Assad?
Absolutely, and I think that's why members needed to be included. And really, I mean, the reason I think the president finds himself here is that the British Parliament voted, and they voted down the ability for the Prime Minister to move forward. The UN, with China and Russia working against, I think, the best interests of the world at this point, causes some problems. And you couldn't have the president against the British and against the UN, and by the way, against Congress as well. I thought it was important to bring Congress into this decision. I really do. And I think as long as people understand the mission set, and remember, there's consequences for not doing anything as much as there are for doing something.
Mr. Chairman, though, don't you think a lot of your colleagues believe that the president decided for a vote because he wanted a congressional buy-in to share responsibility?
Well, listen, why shouldn't Congress share in the responsibility? If you believe in the War Powers Act, which I do, if you believe in the Constitution of the United States that firmly puts in the first article that the responsibility for Congress to provide for the general defense, that means that we're involved in this discussion, and we should be. And I think it sends an excellent decision to the rest of the world, a very stern, very firm decision that we're serious about the proliferation of chemical weapons. You think about a country like North Korea that many believe has a large stockpile of chemical weapons and biological weapons, pursuing its nuclear program. Same in Iran, same in other places in the world. We better send a very clear message in a unified way that we're not going to tolerate proliferation of weapons of mass destruction, let alone their use. And if you don't send that message, that has real-world consequences. This isn't a reality TV show. I mean, at the end of the day, something will actually happen. People will lose their lives. Nations will make a decision moving forward on chemical and biological weapons based on what we do here. And so, again, we cannot make this about the president versus Congress or him shuffling off responsibility. We can have all of those debates at another time. This is really about the credibility of the United States of America standing up for an anti-proliferation and use of chemical and biological weapons. It's that serious.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you. Thanks, Larry.
And we'll have more from our interview with Intelligence Committee Chairman Mike Rogers in our noon hour of State of the Union.